But thank you all for coming this evening. It's already got a lovely buzz about it. And I think as the evening goes on, we're going to enjoy ourselves even more. So it's great to be part of this, and I hope you're going to really enjoy the evening. So just to say a little bit about who's in the room, we have representatives from our sponsors. We've got various organisations and partners who have sponsored the awards this evening, and they are with us. We've got representatives from the Trust's Council of Governors with us. We've got non-executive directors and executive directors with us. But most importantly, we have shortlisted candidates and their chosen friends, colleagues, teams, and so on. So it's great to have you all here. So it's great to have you all here together. The form for the evening is that Deb and I are a double act, and we're going to take it in turns to read out the names of the people who've been shortlisted, to read out the winners, and then to present a little gifts. So when we do that for each award, we will invite the sponsor of the award to come up on stage with us. In order that we can get through the ceremony in good time so that you can carry on partying, we are not going to ask the shortlisted candidates to come up, but there is a certificate for everybody who was shortlisted, and they'll be available on the table in the room where you came in. If you don't have time to pick up your certificate, we will send it to you in the post. We are working on the basis that if you win an award, you would like to have your photo taken with Deb and I. If you would not like to have your photo taken, just let us know, and that'll be fine. So our photographer is here, and when the formalities are over, you can invite her to take photos of you, your friends, your family, your team, whomever you like. So just take advantage of her as much as you can. Okay, let's do the first award. Over to you, Deb.
Thank you, Deborah. And of course, many of you will appreciate that this is my final award ceremony, number 7. I attended my first award ceremony, my very first week at Gloucestershire Hospitals. So day 3 from memory. I remember thinking how fortunate I was to have landed in such a special, successful, high-performing organisation. Those of you that were around at the time will know that a few weeks in I didn't feel quite so lucky. But nevertheless, I have been very, very fortunate and very blessed to have had the opportunity to lead and to serve this wonderful organisation. This year was an incredibly tough year. We had more nominations than we've ever had before. 700 of you nominated your colleagues. In that, we had almost 200 patients who nominated people that they'd been cared for our Patient's Choice Awards. And we're going to spend some time reflecting on some of last night's highlights, because the really great thing about running this event over 2 evenings is we get to involve twice as many of you in the event than we would otherwise be able to do. But it does mean that you only get to see half of the really great nomination successes. So we're going to play a couple of videos from last night, as well as have this evening's awards. So I really, really hope that you enjoyed this evening. As Deborah said, the vibes are pretty positive. We had a renter crowd in last night. We had colleagues from GMS with us last night. We know we've got some in tonight as well.
Hooray.
And well done. You take the brief well. They were really great at keeping the energy levels up. So please follow suit and enjoy the evening. Deborah.
Thank you. Just before we start, I want to thank the sponsors, because without our sponsors, none of us would be here tonight. So it's due to your generosity as sponsors that this evening is possible. And our sponsors and supporters are Cheltenham and Gloucester Hospitals Charity. Yeah. ID Medical. Our very own GMS. Kia, who are rebuilding half of Cheltenham. Colour Connection, who are behind some of our beautiful printed brochures. Health Innovation West of England, my former colleagues. Robert Hall. Barry Priest. The Richards family, who made a very generous set of bursaries yesterday evening. Locum's Nest, who I got the impression were funding the booze. And One Gloucestershire, our colleagues from the Integrated Care System, our ICB. So, as usual, this sponsorship has been organised and managed by our charity partners, Cheltenham and Gloucestershire Hospitals Charity. So we are very grateful to them indeed for their perennial involvement in making this event a success. And we're going to see a short film now about the charity and the work that they do.
Cheltenham and Gloucester Hospitals Charity is here to make an impact for local patients and the amazing NHS staff who treat them. One of the key areas of our work is funding new technology which can make an impact for patients, whether that's smaller items such as vein finders which help teams to find the veins during medical treatment, or CT scanners. We've raised £3 million now with over 40,000 people benefiting each year.
It's just really exciting. It's really hard to keep up with all the new technology. So to have the charity fund such a big project where, as a trust, we get to stay ahead is really quite exciting.
The commemorative garden, which was funded thanks to donations, is already making an impact, and we've got important plans coming up for further green spaces across the hospital sites.
Just having a space where you can just step outside and instantly be somewhere really calming can have the most amazing impact on, yes, staff, on patients, on visitors, families, everyone.
As a charity, we fund clinical trials which give local patients the opportunity to access research which might not otherwise be available.
You know, I can run those trials that I'd like to but haven't been able to, and it just gives everybody a boost because it supports all those trials we're currently doing, but we can do more.
One of the key pillars of our work is improving well-being, whether that's directly in the hospitals or out in the local community.
I engage with local community groups from diverse ethnic minorities. When you look at the fact that we have 98 spoken languages within 1 mile of Gloucester city centre, that's a huge amount of community groups and cultures that I need to go out and speak to.
I became involved with Gloucestershire hospitals mainly in 2015 when I had an unexpected diagnosis of breast cancer, and then subsequently got a second bout in lung cancer earlier on this year. Everyone reacts differently, but for me it was really important to try and make what is not a very pleasant situation a positive one. And so I set myself challenges and set myself the goal to sort of do some fundraising for those people that had helped me.
Thank you so much to everybody that supports the charity. We are so incredibly grateful to you, and you know, it's just a pleasure to work with you all.
Every member of staff that has been involved in my care has been amazing, and how do you ever say thank you for saving your life not once but twice.
The charity raised 600,000, which is just amazing, just fantastic.
And it's nice to see the Trust and the charity all working together to really improve the spaces outside the hospital.
And it just gives everybody a boost because it supports all those trials we're currently doing, but we can do more.
It gives me so much satisfaction when somebody comes to me seeking support and I'm able to support them.
It's really important for us to support the staff with the staff awards. Each day we see how amazing and inspirational and dedicated our colleagues are.
Cheltenham and Gloucester Hospitals Charity is very grateful indeed to the sponsors who have kindly made tonight's event possible. We're also incredibly grateful to the NHS staff who give their all day in, day out. You are all winners tonight, and good luck with your nominated awards.
Easy, Tiger. Fantastic work, I'm sure you'll agree. Before we move on to celebrate all of you in the room this evening, I thought it was important that we also acknowledged last night's winners. So I'd like to congratulate Oliver Pennells, who I believe was Apprentice of the Year. Mm-hmm. Some of you will know that Ollie's mum is the infamous Caroline Pennells, and Ollie has been an apprentice on a respiratory physiology degree apprenticeship pathway. Dickie Head, Dickie won the award for Non-Clinical Leader of the Year. Dickie has been phenomenal as our lead for emergency planning. He has kept the hospital going at times single-handedly during industrial action. I think he's a pretty popular winner. Ros Smith won our Volunteer of the Year award. Unfortunately, Ros, there she is, lovely Ros, was too unwell to join us yesterday evening, but Emma Price accepted the award on her behalf. A really popular winner last night was the GMS catering team. I think the roof nearly lifted off when this team won. And particularly enjoyable was the fact when 2 or 3 rather shy, timid catering colleagues came up onto the stage. Yeah. And we said, where? And suddenly there were 25 of them on the stage celebrating, cheering. It was a really, really special moment. We also celebrated colleagues that have been through our Quality Academy, those that have achieved their Gold Coach, those that have achieved their Silver Associate Awards. As Deborah's mentioned, very grateful to the Richards family. Lisa Richards is a member of staff who was so incredibly grateful for the care we gave to both her mother and her father who died in our care, that they established this award to support bursaries for colleagues to undertake professional development and training that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do, and that was a really, again, popular award. Anna Umali was our clinical... We've got friends of Anna in. Anna is one of our advanced nurse practitioners working in urogynecology, and again, a really popular and successful winner. Juaria, who we saw, where is she? Bottom left-hand corner there, won our Cultural Icon Award for the work that she's been doing with our diverse communities. And Asma Pandor. I'm not going to say too much more about Asma, because Asma won the Patient's Choice Award. We're going to watch that film later, but fair to say there was not a dry eye in the house when Asma won her award. So, what? Ah, yes, there we go. I'm just reading my script here. So we're going to actually go on now and watch the Patient's Choice film, aren't we? So, yeah, please join us for our Patient's Choice Award. Get your tissues ready, by the way.
So we found out that Darcy had no heartbeat in October, on the 23rd of October, 2020. That was during COVID, so I had to attend all the scans by myself. And my husband was actually at work. He was an hour away. And the sonographer actually said, is there anyone that can come and join you to support you? So I mentioned Kate's name, just threw it out there, not thinking that she'd actually turn up. And she arrived outside the door. I heard her voice and I felt like everything was going to be okay. I heard her, she walked in, she wrapped her arms around me and she sat with me, she cried with me, she held me while we waited for my husband Dan to arrive. Last year, we got pregnant with our rainbow baby, Arthur. I remember texting Kate, I was terrified of what was ahead of me. I was so scared. And she saw me every week. She listened to heartbeats whenever I needed it. She reassured me that everything was going to be okay.
Laura always took the time to find out exactly what my preferences were, especially with my hypnobirthing choices, where I wanted to birth. I wanted to give birth at home. I went 22 days overdue, never once felt pressurised by her. If anything, she was telling me to listen to my body, it's okay, you know, we'll give you extra monitoring, but you do what you want to do and I'll support you. She drove all the way to Bristol just to visit and make sure like the baby and I were okay and see how I was, which is when you're in a very vulnerable state, someone familiar and that you trust turning up is wonderful. When the baby finally came out and was unresponsive, her training kicked in straight away. She was so incredible. To have that continuity, that relationship, that safe space, that trust, someone who's not going to judge you and takes the time to really understand exactly what you want. Yeah, and Laura does all that.
So I was running on adrenaline and it got to probably, I think, day 3, day 4, and I missed another treatment and Arwen left me a note and then she came to see me and I was like, oh my God, she's going to come tell me off. And I was in a really, really bad mood because you got hormonal, like, whirlwind going on, and I was on my own because Kyle had gone to wash all of our clothes. And she sat me down, she said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm going down to breastfeed. And she said, yeah, but you're not well, you keep missing your treatments. And I was like, yeah, but I need to go down. And she said, but how are you meant to look after yourself and the baby at the same time? You need to concentrate on you, and then you can look after your baby. If someone doesn't stop you and say, it's okay, and it's okay to feel how you're feeling, and just reassure you, you just feel terrible. And people forget that mothers have been through something massive. And I think she reminded me that I'd been through something massive. It wasn't just that my daughter was poorly, I was poorly.
So our nan went in to the frailty ward. Unfortunately, she was end of life, refused treatment, and they just was lovely, a lovely service, made our very big family all very welcome in the ward, made my nan very comfortable in a side room, and it just made her end of life a bit more easier and comforting for all of us.
She said how nice it was to have her hands and feet moisturised. She used to love us doing that for her, so for the staff to do that for her. And even, I know it sounds silly, even for somebody to just brush her hair, which on previous days on the ward, that was something that we would do for her when we came in, but they just thought of everything. And for me, as a nurse in the profession, that meant everything. All her needs were taken care of, which was really impressive. I think she realised she was well cared for as well. because she was quite conscious for the first sort of 4 or 5 hours after withdrawing treatment, so she was really aware of the sort of care that she was getting.
At her last dying moments, we were all
We were all round her, so
bed,
that's what she would have wanted.
I was quite close to my dad, and you kind of, well, I did expect your parents to go on forever, I suppose. And of course, whenever all of a sudden we've gone from like my dad falling in the bath to 4 days later, I'm afraid your dad's like not going to leave hospital. And then 2 weeks after that, he just like passed away, and it's just like, you know?
You tried to grasp what was going to happen, but it was just too much to grasp.
Yeah.
And Asma was there like to hold your hand and just guide you through everything. So perfectly how they do it.
I didn't know there was Admiral nurses in hospitals. So when Dawn put me in touch with Asma, she was an absolute godsend. Because you can't be at the hospital 24/7. And she'd go and sit with my dad, even if it was for 10, 15 minutes on, you know, when she was on shift, which was something that she didn't have to do. And us as a family, that was very much appreciated, because we knew then Dad wasn't on his own. And Asma was there. Asma's been there even after the funeral and everything. She's always said, if you ever need anything, you ever want to talk through anything, just message me or ring me.
One of the organisations who I was dealing with, and they'd said, well, you realise there's a specialist nurse who works at Gloucester Hospital, who I'm sure would be only too happy to visit Jerry if you can contact her. And I very much warmed to her because she was just so friendly. And when she was there with me and with Jerry, his eyes were lighting up. He said, oh, she's my friend, she's my friend. I said, well, I'm so pleased you've got a friend. And then he caught COVID, and so we couldn't visit. Asma then tells me, she said, I've come to see Jerry on his birthday, and I bought him a cake. And she thought I bought him a card. He can't possibly have a birthday without cake and a card. And honestly, that really, it still gets to me now when talking about it, because it was the kindest possible thing anybody could have done. And then after he died, she wasn't able to see him in Stroud. She sent me a text and asked me, would you mind if I came to Jerry's funeral? I'd like to come and say goodbye. And I was I'm so pleased and overwhelmed by her kindness.
She's dropped off flowers, she's supported Darcy with her birthdays.
Made our very big family all very welcome in the ward.
I think it's really hard to tell a new mum to focus on herself, and she managed to do that.
I'm so truly grateful to her for doing what she did.
She didn't worry me or stress me, she just saved my baby's life.
Just made her end of life a bit more easier and comforting for all of us.
And when you feel like you don't know what the right thing to do is and you feel a bit lost, you need someone to just take the reins of it and be powerful for you.
She was amazing. I just can't say enough about her. She was amazing for us as a family.
She was made to be a midwife.
She's one in a million. She's just so lovely.
And as I mentioned, Asma Panda was the winner, and a really popular winner too. Before I go on to start the first of this evening's awards, I want to go a little bit off-piste, as they say, because we often imagine that things like this just happen. And of course, we know that they take an enormous amount of organising. And there are a couple of individuals that I just want to thank and acknowledge very personally, because as I said, I've travelled this journey with particularly Kate for 7 years. The first staff awards I came to, I had high expectations. I'd come from an organisation that ran an award ceremony a little bit like this one. So when I arrived to see the tea urn and some rather curly sandwiches, and we walked into this room and there was no meal and no drinks and a rather long ceremony, Kate and I took stock and decided we needed to do it differently. And the last 7 years have been testament to Kate and a whole host of helpers, and one other helper in particular, Karen Organ. We are here because Karen has galvanised the community to sponsor this evening's event. When I sat down, my son Gabriel said, "I hope taxpayers haven't paid for this brochure, Mum." And I was able to reassure him that taxpayers' money have not touched this evening, but the generosity of our sponsors and communities has enabled this to happen. So I do just want to say thank you to Kate and to Karen and to invite you up onto the stage. The patience, the organisational skills, the attention to detail. Just a little example. I got a bit teary last night, so when I arrived, Karen brought me this little bag. I said, "What's in that bag?" She said, "I've brought you a lace handkerchief to mop up your tears." So it really, I mean, Kate, she starts these awards the day after they end for the next year. And I mean, it's just tremendous, Kate. Absolutely tremendous. These things do not happen easily. And they run like clockwork. I wish some people could see you behind the scenes last night when, forgive the language, she was kicking ass. When a few things didn't go quite as she expected. She was kicking ass. So thank you so much to both of you.
Oh, thank you.
So, without further ado, on to our first award. This is a new award this year. It's called the Rising Star Award. And this award is designed to recognise career professionals, both clinical and non-clinical, who have made a significant difference to the lives of our patients, their colleagues. These are colleagues that kind of stand out from their peers. These are people that we think are going places. These are people that might be me in a few years' time. And so the shortlisted candidates, actually ID Medical, come and join me on stage. You're the sponsor of this award. Who have we got from ID Medical?
Yes, come up. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for the water bottles as well. We really appreciate those. Really appreciate those. So, the shortlisted candidates are Aisha Lula,
Aisha has been involved with the Strategic Site Development Programme at GRH, where she has managed often challenging projects and timescales with efficiency, humour and a can-do attitude. She is incredibly committed and always ensures that the work gets done, putting herself out to help and support clinical colleagues and ensure that their views are always heard.
Chi Ezi.
In her role, clinical nurse educator in care of the elderly, Chi is a natural leader who inspires and motivates others through her actions and words. Colleagues describe Chi as a remarkable individual who has already made a significant difference to our services and the lives of people we serve.
Sydney Walsh, or Sid to those that know better.
Since joining us in November 2022, Sydney has embraced her first senior leadership role with a large service line, working long hours to improve patient care within trauma and orthopaedics. Sid was described as optimistic, kind, and a problem solver, who is a great asset to her service, the surgical division, and the trust.
And last, but by no means least, Tom McGuinness.
Hard-working and keen to learn, IT service desk team member Tom always has a positive attitude at work. Helpful, thorough, and dedicated to his role, the huge efforts Tom puts in are reflected in the quality of his work, which benefits both his team and the wider organisation.
And our first award goes to, drum roll please.
Drum roll. Yeah. Very, you all got it.
She.
Great. The next award is the Research, Teaching and Innovation Award. So we are a research active trust, and we acknowledge the commitment and achievement of those who've shown success in building up teaching, research and innovation to benefit patients who use our services. So, this is sponsored by Health Innovation West of England. And is there a colleague here who would like to come up and join us? Looking around, can't see anybody. Okay. So, the shortlisted candidates. First of all, we have Hannah Chant.
Undergraduate medical education lead Hannah consistently provides exceptional educational opportunities for medical students on placement in the Trust. She also puts on many additional sessions for our medical students, teaching them in new and innovative ways to help them develop into safe and competent practitioners.
And our second shortlisted candidate is Asha Dani. It's obviously well known.
As one of the lead midwives for our maternity practice development team, Asha makes a huge effort to enhance the teaching tools and study days that are delivered to our maternity team. Always striving to think of innovative ideas to develop services and training for midwives and other staff, Asha previously developed a postnatal animation video tool that maternity staff use to support the discharge of women and their families.
Right, amazing, yeah. And next we have the Cancer Prehabilitation Team.
The Cancer Prehabilitation Programme encourages patients with cancer to take an active role in their care by helping them get into their best shape before treatment. Initial data has shown that the team have reduced length of stay, reduced hospital infections, reduced weight loss on treatment, and provided the foundations for long-term behaviour change. They allow patients to take control of elements of their health at a time when other health decisions are out of their control.
And next we have Fleur Garney, Sam Waterman and the Chemical Pathology Trials Team.
The clinical trials lab were described as truly the unsung heroes of research. Despite short notice and the complexity of processing trial samples, the lab team always steps up to the challenge with a positive can-do attitude. The many colleagues who nominated them reflected that they felt lucky to work with such an inspiring and motivating team.
Okay, drum roll, please. And the award goes to Hannah Chant. Where is she?
Our next award is for Outstanding Clinical Leader. As part of our commitment to developing inspirational leaders, we recognise clinical leaders who create a positive environment for their teams. Each of our shortlisted candidates has been recognised for the talent that they develop, the generosity in sharing their skills, and leaders who put patient care at the heart of their role whilst inspiring and motivating others. What's not to like about that? So, tonight's nominees are... Oh, wind back. ID Medical, would you like to join me on stage? You can't accuse us of being too polished anyway, can you? So, our first nominee is Joanna Crisp. I think Joanne, actually. Joanne.
Jo has championed and led on the delivery of BadgeNet Maternity EPR for the past 2 years and is the glue that has held this project together. By sharing her passion and vision for digital maternity, Jo has influenced and supported all of her clinical colleagues, doing whatever is necessary whenever it is needed.
Very good.
Our next nominee is Jerome Ibarra.
As the matron for care of the elderly department, Jerome's nominators said that he is an outstanding leader who is very visible, always available, and goes above and beyond to look after his team. The department is flourishing under his leadership, where his belief and confidence in his team has translated into improved outcomes for elderly patients.
Our next nominee is Helen Mansfield.
Caring and committed, Helen was described as a brilliant communicator by her team, who appreciate her calmness under pressure. Helen's honesty, poise, and dedication to her patients and her team were universally acknowledged in her nominations, with colleagues describing her as incredibly kind, supportive, and an exceptional leader through the most challenging of times for the emergency department.
And finally, Jeremy Nettleton.
Jeremy is a true team player who leads his team to consistently strive to do better and achieve better things, whether this involves using innovative techniques or simple changes that improve the patient experience. Described as an inspirational leader, his nomination said that he is visible, approachable, and always positive, even in the face of adversity.
And before I go on to open the envelope, we took the decision to also award a highly commended nomination in this category. It really was very, very difficult to decide. And so I'd like to congratulate Joanne Crisp for that award. However, there can only be one winner, and I'm particularly delighted. This was a firm favourite for me. Tonight's winner is Helen Mansfield.
Okay, this next award is called Unsung Heroes. And of course, so many people make a huge contribution to the Trust, but may have a lower profile than other colleagues. This award aims to recognise those everyday heroes who are truly inspirational. And would a GMS colleague like to join us on the stage? GMS is full of unsung heroes in my experience. So the first shortlisted person is Andy Anduvan.
Andy not only puts in an extraordinary amount of time and effort into keeping an extremely stretched acute medicine department afloat, but also contributes a significant amount of additional time to support junior doctors on the rotation. Colleagues advise that without his efforts, the quality of care and the learning experience across medicine cross-site would be drastically affected.
Good. And next we have Ala Mahmood.
Nominated by many colleagues from Obs and Gynae, Ala's tireless work ethic and grace under pressure were highlighted, along with his boundless energy. His commitment to the service, its patients, and his colleagues is exemplary, with one colleague saying, "There are not enough words to express our gratitude and appreciation for him."
And next we have Marta Pisiak.
As a ward sister on care of the elderly, Ward 6B, Marta provides such thoughtful and compassionate care to our older patients. In addition to ensuring that every patient at the end of their life can have a dignified and comfortable death, Marta's kindness towards her team is also highly appreciated. One nomination said she really is a team player who prioritises colleagues' needs above anything else.
Right. And next, Mandy Finnegan.
As rota coordinator for the Obs and Gynae doctors, several nominations describe Mandy as simply phenomenal at her job, as well as patient, gracious, and a joy to interact with. Colleagues advise that Mandy's approachability and kindness make her unique. She's a brilliant, non-judgmental, inclusive person who truly cares for the doctor's well-being.
So this was another really difficult one where we took the view that we wanted to have another person who was highly commended. So in this case, I'd like to congratulate Marta Pisiak as being that person. But as Deb says, there can only be one person who wins the actual award. Drum roll, please. And the winner of Unsung Heroes is Ala Mahmood. I don't know about you, Deb, but I think these boisterous women have outdone GMS's contingent from last night.
I think they have. Our next award is the snappily titled Integrated Care Award. This award recognises someone who works in our organisation but who has made an outstanding contribution to the work of One Gloucestershire, both its priorities and through their partnership working. Ellen Rule is going to join me on stage. Ellen is a member of the Integrated Care System. Thank you, Ellen. And I'd just like to acknowledge the contribution that you've made. Ellen's not in our organisation, so she couldn't win an award, but Ellen has been phenomenal supporter of our organisation, and I would say me as well. In fact, Ellen and I go back some way. Ellen worked for me back in Bristol many, many moons ago, so particularly with you, she worked for you as well, didn't she? Ooh, get that?
She worked for you.
She worked for you and I worked for you. Yeah, it's confusing. We worked, yeah. I think Ellen was at the bottom, I was in the middle, and Deb was top of the run, yeah? In case there's any doubt about that, yeah? So, the nominations for this award are, firstly, Faye Noble.
Faye is an exceptional system colleague who provides a wealth of experience and expertise across all the roles she holds. She consistently demonstrates system-wide working to benefit the whole population of Gloucestershire, advocating for our patients, families and communities in our urgent and emergency care work to improve outcomes, reduce variation and address health inequalities.
And of course, what that voiceover didn't say is that when she's not doing all of that, she's a very busy consultant in our ED department. The next nominee is Dave Taylor.
Dave has consistently demonstrated his contribution to both patient flow within the Trust and the wider ICS as Director of Operations for System Flow. Despite the challenges associated with his role, Dave consistently demonstrates a calm, solution-based approach to continually improving flow, providing a source of extensive expertise, as well as leading and mentoring the wider MDT across the ICS.
And finally, Kerry Holden.
Kerry is an expert infection control nurse who works across the system to prevent and control infections. She sees no boundaries to her work, and while her focus is preventing the spread of infection in the acute services, she is always available to share her expert knowledge with others in the system, providing advice and practical help.
Tonight's award goes to Faye Noble. Unfortunately, Faye's not able to be with us this evening. She had a bereavement earlier today of a close friend. But Ellen, who works very closely with Faye, is going to accept the award on her behalf. Thank you, Ellen.
Yes, but let's put Faye in. Let's put Faye in. There we are. Get a bit closer. Get a bit closer. And the next award is Living Our Values. This is awarded to someone who exemplifies our compassionate culture and lives our values every day when they interact with patients and colleagues. And if a representative from Robert Hall would like to join us on the stage, please do. I don't know if we've got anybody here from Robert Hall. Yeah. So the first nominee is Rachel Curry.
Breast care nurse Rachel truly goes the extra mile for patients every day. Exceptional with particularly vulnerable or very young cancer patients who may require extra support. Rachel's kindness naturally extends to all those around her. Her positive connections with colleagues across the trust mean that Rachel is someone who colleagues turn to when a patient has a need for urgent help.
And our next nominee is Mary Thompson.
As a health professional working in the Department of Critical Care, Mary exemplifies all the values of the Trust in her day-to-day role as a Band 6 sister when leading a shift, caring for patients and their families, and supporting the wider MDT teams. She has a wonderful rapport with patients, and she calmly sets about her tasks on every shift, respecting everyone's thoughts and views.
And our next shortlisted person is Lauren Whittam.
Lauren's wisdom and guidance are appreciated both by her colleagues and those in her care. One colleague described how Lauren's support was fundamental to allowing her to continue as a fellow midwife, advising that the women she cares for feel similarly supported and heard.
And the award goes to Rachel Curry. We must be getting near the end now, Deb.
Our next award.
Okay.
Obviously a popular one, is Healthcare Team of the Year. This category recognises outstanding teams who have demonstrated consistently high-quality clinical care. Nominated by colleagues, these shortlisted teams have proved that they are determined to deliver excellent care and the best experience to their patients, whatever challenges they come across. GMS, would you like to join me again? Come on, Simon. The shortlisted candidates for this award are, I'm sensing there's going to be some cheering here.
Keep calm.
The
Keep
Children's
calm, everybody.
Ward team and the Vice. Calm down,
This year,
calm down.
The team on Children's Ward at GRH
including the
have had
violence and
increasing numbers
aggression
of young
response
people admitted
porters.
with mental health needs and eating disorders, which has been challenging and distressing for the staff on the unit. The team have risen to this challenge to provide the best possible care for those vulnerable patients, and alongside them, the specialist team of response porters have been pivotal in attending some complicated, stressful and challenging situations on the ward.
Didn't hear the beginning of it. You might have to read it all out, Deb.
Our next shortlisted team is, and this is a sad one, the former Gallery Wing Ward team.
The old gallery ward closed in June 2023 as a result of the cross-site changes linked to the Fit for the Future programme. Although disbanding this close and highly effective multidisciplinary team was distressing for all those involved, they continue to behave professionally at all times, working together to provide the best and most compassionate care for patients.
Our next nominees are the trauma coordinators.
The trauma coordinators have a very busy and challenging role at GRH that requires them to draw on their wealth of knowledge and experience. Their expertise comes into play when dealing with patients who may be frustrated at times. They were described as the glue that binds the shift pattern on T&O on call and ensures that no one gets missed.
And our last nominees in this category are the maternity triage team.
This small but close-knit team work under immense pressure in a very busy area of our maternity unit. The triage team are strong, professional and unflappable, whilst always having a smile on their faces. This year they have worked exceptionally hard to implement a new safety system for triage, prioritising the safety of the mothers and babies we care for.
And again, a really difficult decision in respect of the winner. So a highly commended goes to Gallery Ward team. But the winners are, you know how it goes, drum roll. I'm going to put my fingers in my ears. Maternity triage. Now, every now and then, there are a few privileges that come with my role. And about a week ago, I think it was, I found myself crafting a note to Kate and to Deborah and to others to say, I really wish we'd recognise this individual. So can you make sure next year when I'm not around that they get an award? And I thought, bugger me, I'm the chief executive. I'm going to create an award and I'm going to give this person that award this year. So sorry you didn't make it into the brochure, bitlastminute.com. But there are few things in the NHS more contentious than parking. Otherwise known as the P word. And about a year and a half ago, we decided to address some of the challenges, as we refer to them, in our parking situation. And this individual has been well, just truly incredible. The patience of a saint. More emails in her inbox, mainly from me, passing on emails that people sent to me, because rather foolishly, people think I'm in charge of parking. People think I'm in charge of all sorts of things I'm not in charge of. It's quite peculiar. And so I wanted to take the opportunity to recognise, because in all seriousness, there have been occasions when, am I going to say it? Yeah, I think this individual's been almost abused. Some of the emails that colleagues have written that this individual has shouldered and done her best to address their concerns. So as I've said, I couldn't leave the organisation without acknowledging the tremendous work of Bernie Turner. Now, Bernie is going to absolutely hate this. She is going to absolutely hate this. In fact, before she knew she was getting an award, I heard she was trying to make a getaway. A colleague had to leave because of a family member becoming unwell, and Bernie, because she's this sort of person, offered to drive them. And Ian and colleagues had to wrestle her to the ground to say, no, Bernie, please don't go. But we didn't want to give it away. How much do you hate me, Bernie? A lot. But you will reckon there is nothing more contentious in the NHS than parking. So, Bernie, you have been truly amazing. That was a bit naughty, wasn't it? Not to tell you. That was a bit naughty of you. This is what a lady in shock looks like, everyone. Yeah.
So we are moving on now to the Lifetime Achievement Award. And at each staff awards, our Board of Directors and Trust Leadership team look to acknowledge someone who has made a significant contribution to the Trust, our patients and the wider community. So this year, there were 2 nominations. And first of all, I would like to commend Jane Stock for her nomination. Jane has worked in the Trust since 1987 and will be retiring at the end of this year. Over the 36 years that Jane has worked in medical physics department, she supported the trust-wide and county-wide provision of the radiation protection services. Throughout her career, she has upheld the highest level of professional standards and personal integrity, and has always gone the extra mile to ensure that patient and staff safety is maintained. So Jane, please accept some flowers as a small token of our appreciation. Have we got flowers? Yeah. Oh, yay! Where is she? So we're now going to move on to announcing this year's recipient of our Lifetime Achievement Award. And as sponsor of the award, if a representative of Kia would like to join us on stage, please do. But I warn you, it's going to take some time before I finish my speech. This year, the Trust leadership team overwhelmingly voted that the recipient of this award should be our Chief Executive, Deborah Lee. So I've been really looking forward to making this speech. But as it's got closer and closer, I've begun to get a bit anxious, because the fact of the matter is I've got far too many funny stories that I could tell you about Deborah Lee. And it's been difficult to edit them down to make something that is also a fitting accolade for everything she's done. But I'm going to try, and you'll forgive me if I don't get the balance quite right. So first of all, her bio. Deb was born and brought up in Bradford. Yeah, and then we've got a Bradford table over here. And you know the saying, you can take the girl out of Bradford, but you can't take Bradford out of the girl. So what we have in Deb is a fairly direct northerner. And I like nothing more, actually, than a fairly direct northerner. And we also have a person who is very smart, a person who trained professionally as a nurse, and who I think every day is informed by that perspective. A person who was, I strongly suspect, spotted quite early on as having great potential. She tells me she was a shocking nurse, but I don't believe it. But she certainly was spotted as having great potential, and of course made her way through the tiers of NHS management with a brief excursion into the private sector working for Pfizer. But then came back, and some of you know that she also did an MBA on the route through her career, and did that with distinction. Now, moving on from the bio to talk a little bit about the person herself. I've always thought of Deb as an adventurous person. And I note that quite a lot of her adventures seem to happen on the way to work. So one of those, as has been recounted to me, was the day that she arrived at work at Swindon, where she was a commissioner, only to realise that in her absorption in work the moment she got into the car, she forgot that she'd got a small child in the back seat and didn't drop Gabriel off at nursery, so he ended up at work with her.
Bring your child to work day. Started here.
Yeah, it started a trend. Another adventure on the way to work story, which I enjoyed because it happened while Deb was working for me, was one very cold winter's day where it was sub-zero temperatures in Wiltshire, and Deb set off for work in Bristol, and Julie arrived in Bristol in the rush hour, only to find that her car broke down on the James Barton roundabout, which is the big roundabout in the middle of Bristol, so holding up all the traffic. So Deb abandoned the car, came into the office, threw her car keys at her PA, who was a long-suffering chap called Rick, and said,
I loved Rick.
and said to Rick, can you just go and wait by my car until the AA comes? So the traffic is building up and building up on this roundabout, and poor Rick is there trying to, look as if he's nothing to do with it. She came into my office about half an hour later, and she said the AA say that the car is just beyond repair, so I've told them to tow it away to the scrapyard, and I haven't told George yet. So that was another adventure, and there have been a few other adventures on the way to work, which I don't think I can recount to you. So Deb is adventurous, and she's also very spirited. And some of you know that she has, on 4 occasions, led trust teams in the military challenge to raise money for the trust. So she has great spirit. I think another example of having great spirit, and I can't confirm this, but I have been told that she was engaged several times to be married. Some people say 6 times to be married, and then actually had a marriage before she met the love of her life, George, who is also her
TMI.
her anchor and her foil. You'll need to ask her about the engagements because I can't vouch for how many there were. So she is a very spirited individual. But although some of this is speculation and might be slightly exaggerated, one thing that I do absolutely know about Deb is that she loves her family, and it's so great to see you all here this evening to support her. So another thing which you will all have observed about Deb, not only from reading the Global, but seeing her in action, is that she is an extrovert. I confirmed this for myself only recently when, after having an operation for a bunion, which she had at Cirencester Hospital, so she kept it within the trust, I might say. After she'd had this operation and her foot was very painful, it is only an extrovert who would think that the best way to get around Gloucestershire Royal is on a child's scooter. And I know that one shouldn't take advantage of other people's discomfort and disabilities. But I was really happy when she came into her office around that time, and she said to me, "I'll never be able to wear these shoes again after my operation, so would you like to have them?" So in your honour, Deb, I'm wearing your shoes this evening. Thank you for the shoes. So, of course, along with this suite of characteristics goes the fact that Deb is great fun. And only a couple of weeks ago, she sent me a WhatsApp on a Friday, and she said, "I'm about to embark on Operation Rescue Chickens." And at first I thought she was perhaps referring to a partner organisation until she sent me a picture of a little bit of a flood that was happening in the garden, and she was literally rescuing chickens. So Deb is great fun, and she comes from a family who are also fun. One thing you probably don't know about her, and I'm going to talk about the serious side of Deb in a moment, is that what she does in the evenings, apart from if you read Global as avidly as I do, you'll know that she likes to watch Married at First Sight, don't you? Do you spot that? Yeah, okay. But the serious side of Deb is also sitting there in front of the telly and going through all the complaint letters, because she wants to make sure that she personally, as chief exec, has made sure that we've got the tone right in every single response letter we write to patients. That is commitment. And then I think what happens is she's so tired after a day's work and all these complaint letters, and worn out probably by Married at First Sight, that she falls asleep. And when she wakes up, the movie that they've all been watching as a family has finished, and she says to the others, "What happened?" And then one of them will make out an outlandish ending and try and persuade her that that's what actually happened. I've got a source within the family, so I have this on good authority. And of course, they are a family who love practical jokes. And if we had more time, I would tell you about the occasion when George's sister thought she'd won the national lottery. But we haven't got time, so I am going to go on to talk about more serious things. And the first thing that I want to say to you is that I learnt fairly early on when Deb came to work with me as Director of Commissioning in Bristol that you should never underestimate her, because she can do things that nobody else can do. She is a remarkably effective operator and has been a remarkably effective chief executive. And when I think about, she has, yeah, you all know this. You all know this, and as this talk goes on, I'm going to be quoting back from things which colleagues have said about her very directly. So Deb has already referenced that when she came to the Trust and she was a first-time chief executive, within a few weeks she had sussed out that there was a pretty serious underlying financial deficit. And I think as a first-time CEO, that's a pretty scary thing to find out in your first few weeks. But Deb is not easily daunted, so she just set about tackling it. Equally, when we had the COVID pandemic, and if you all remember, as I do, that was a pretty scary time at the beginning of that. And I think Deb showed exemplary leadership over that time, jointly with our medical director, Mark Pietroni, who also deserves a lot of credit for leading the Trust through those very difficult early times and keeping the focus on patients and treating patients and not being so scared that absolutely everything had to stop. So keeping the focus on our patients. Deb, of course, has also had some huge achievements for the Trust. And I said at our board meeting today that I thought the most significant of which is the strategy which is about developing centres of excellence across the two hospitals, with Gloucestershire Royal being more the hot site and Cheltenham developing cancer and elective centres of excellence. I think that will stand us in good stead for the future and is the best thing for the population we're serving. And to actually pull that off, Deb, I think that is... I always thought, I was watching from a distance and I thought they're never going to do it. But you did, and that was an incredible achievement. And of course, when we think about the very broad range of performance which we need to improve upon all the time to create better outcomes for patients. And when we pride ourselves that we're doing better than most of the Southwest or most of the whole country on cancer waiting times, on elective waiting times, there are lots of people in this room and not in this room who've contributed towards that. But there is a driving force behind it all, which makes us do so well. And the driving force is Deborah Lee. And of course, one of the great things about my job is that I share a PA with Deb. And she's not here today, and I'm sure Deb thinks, that she's spending too much of her time on me, and I think she's spending too much of her time on her. But the great thing is that it means that I've got access to some of the congratulation notes and sadness notes and farewell notes that people have sent to Deb, and they've come to me via our PA, who is usually a Chinese wall between us, actually, but on this occasion she wasn't. So I just want to, let you know some of the things that people said about Deb and Deb's achievements, and some of them are, really funny. So one person who was congratulating her on the wide range of things that she's achieved for the Trust talked about new builds, new robots, and so many national awards. And others said, and several other people said this, and it's certainly my belief, about Deb being one of the most effective chief executives. So the most long serving of Deb's correspondents said, during my 43 years, you stand out as the most effective. Your tenure has been the most cohesive and progressive. Pretty good accolade.
I'll take that.
Yeah. And another person said, you've had such a positive impact on Gloucestershire Hospitals Foundation Trust, and you're still making a difference. Yeah. And this is a really interesting one, because I think we often think that a chief executive's job is all glamour, but of course it isn't. And one of the colleagues said, we often dupe ourselves into calling our jobs challenging when they're just bloody hard. I can't imagine what it's like to wake up every morning with the responsibility for staff, patients, visitors, infrastructure, and process. And that's what Deb has been doing for 7 years so far. So people talked a lot, Deb, in these letters and these emails, they're not letters, they're all emails, about the nature of your leadership. And one person said, "You are the reason I've believed in the aims of this trust for the last 7 years." Another said, "Your approachability and authentic leadership are a role model for women leaders." So that's the nature of your leadership, Deb. But it always strikes me that the things that come across are that you are truly patient-centric. You're always thinking about what's the best thing for patients. And you are also profoundly humane. One of our colleagues, one of your colleagues, and you will know who this is and I don't, said, "Every day I see that you are like a nurse. I've never seen a chief executive as focused as you are." I want to go on to talk about one person also said that Deb had helped her and that she had changed her life. "The help you gave me changed my life." It literally, she says, "You literally changed my life and I am so grateful. Your help and kindness has been invaluable to me." And I know that Deb is kind to everyone and that many, many people approach Deb directly when they need help. So just thinking about the future, because in all these people that corresponded with Deb, they did talk about what's to come, what happens next for Deb. And one of our governors said, "Everyone was shocked when you had your stroke and amazed," and this was me, "when you were up and about and tweeting about the ambulance service." And I made a note to myself that I phoned her up and told her that I was going to cut the Wi-Fi off. So this governor then said, "The stroke that hit you would have stopped most people. But we have been fortunate that with your strength of character and the speed with which your husband got help, you're steering the trust through some really tricky times." So, what do people wish for you for the future, Deb? This is what they say. One said, "You can't go, ha ha." Thank you.
I can.
"Do what makes you happy. Life is too short." Another one said, "Your thoughtfulness in showing us how to end well is exemplary." And I would echo that because I have been so impressed that you have not dropped 1 ounce of momentum. Some of your executive colleagues have been saying this evening, you've kept going right until the end, trying to improve things, trying to make things better, wanting to see the results. You haven't stopped for a moment. So you deserve, this was another one, and perhaps this is the one that I'm going to end on. You deserve to end on a high. More fun and less stress. Thank you for giving your all. You should be proud of yourself.
I'm going to break the habit of a lifetime and keep this short. I'm rarely speechless. In fact, the last time I was speechless, I had a stroke. For the avoidance of doubt, I've not had a stroke. But I am immensely overwhelmed by those kind words, Deborah. When I left Bristol, some of you will know this, they gave me a padded F on a little neck chain, a lanyard, that I have in my office. And people assumed that was because I used the F word a lot. But actually, it's because when I'd done a Myers-Briggs profile that kind of types you, I didn't have any F. And it's quite extraordinary. Some people don't have much F, but I didn't have any F. So it's really kind and nice of you to demonstrate that there is a bit of F in there somewhere. Because I have tried really hard to lead authentically. I am who I am. Sometimes that's great and sometimes it's not so great, but I think I have always tried to be an authentic leader, to be approachable, but I couldn't have done any of that if it wasn't for the people sat in front of me today. My family gets together for funerals. So it's really incredible that I have got the people nearest and dearest to me here this evening. I've got my brother, my sister, my niece, my children, Grace, my soon-to-be, I hope, fingers crossed. I'm not allowed to say the word daughter-in-law.
You're not.
And I do just want to thank you, all of you, particularly George, who superhero doesn't even begin to cut it. I couldn't have done what I've done without him. My children have travelled this journey. As we all know, we live these jobs, so they become our lives. And I know at the age of about 8 or 9, Teddy could have run a gold call any night of the week. Call Gabriel, he'd tell you there are no beds. Put them in the corridors, it'll all be fine. And it becomes all-consuming. But what I do know, and why I'm so thankful that they're here today, is that they are so super proud of what I've achieved. I've achieved it because of all of you, so thank you.
Very good. So I think that brings us to the end of our ceremony tonight. Thank you all for coming. I hope you've really enjoyed it. Thanks again to our sponsors and our supporters who've made the evening possible.